Welcome back to the discussion. In the last discussion, we are trying to answer the first question, that the first fundamental question that normally haunt us while we approach the Bhagavad Gita. And the first question, just to remind you, is like this: why, after all, in the battlefield, Sri Krishna described all this divine knowledge, the great knowledge rather, to Arjuna? He could have done it somewhere else. And we have tried to answer it as convincingly as I could. But 2 points I left out. I just forgot to tell that. Apart from Arjuna's dejection, Arjuna's feeling of a depressive mentality, the other two things is or are like this. The first one is when the divine is with you, because Sri Krishna is the God incarnate. When he is with you, every place, however dangerous it may seem from the outside, it would be a rather fit place to do anything. So, in that sense, when Sri Krishna with Arjuna, every place is a fine place. Every place is an appropriate place. And he could do it everywhere because divine is there. When the divine touch is there, when the God is with us, we can overcome any obstacle. And howsoever dangerous a may place be, it will be turned into a very good place. As this battlefield also has become a place of dharma, dharmaketra. So that is the other answer to that first question, that why Sri Krishna didn't say it beforehand. He chose it now. He thought it that this would be the best place. And he did it. For God, for the divine, no place is that bad. No place is dangerous. Because his consideration, his way of considering a thing is different from what you and I do. So, from a different perspective, he looks at everything. That we know. We know, we don't know definitely what he could be considering, but yes, when God is there, every place is a good place. Everything is a good thing. Every man is a good man. Or maybe everything is appropriate. So that's one. And the second thing is, until this time, till both the many enemies are face to face on the battlefield, Arjuna had an ego problem. When we began this discussion, I just mentioned that Arjuna was in a multifold crisis at the time of battle. And this ego is one of those crises. Yes, ego is always a crisis. Or ego puts us in different crises. Sometimes, due to this ego, we suffer a lot. Atigarbhe hatalanka, atimane cha kaurabam, atidane badirbadha, ati sarvatra garhidam. So, ati darpe hatalanka. This darpa, this ego killed Ravana. And these Kauravas also faced their, pet or whatever bad consequences they faced is because of this ego. Now, Arjuna had an ego that he was the best warrior so far born. With the bow and arrows, he could demolish any enemy. He could wipe out all the adversaries. This ego was with him. The ego of a warrior. The ego of a fighter. That I am the best fighter. The best disciple of Dronacharya. And he was tipped to be the best man with bow and arrow, with his gandiv and his arrows, and with all that. He thought himself a tad superior over other warriors. And Srishta knew it. You see, when this particular battle, the battle of the Mahabharata, is a battle for establishing dharma. This battle had no other intentions other than establishing peace, bliss, prosperity, and in a nutshell, dharma. Not adharma. Like all the battles, maybe the world wars and other wars, this our time, not only since mankind was created, there have been many wars, many battles. We have fought many battles. And perhaps the two world wars have had their most devastating effects on the mankind, for which we are still suffering. Well, wars are there. And almost all wars have been there to serve our self-interest or to serve the self-interest of some people. But from a broader perspective, no war other than the Mahabharata war has been fought. The purpose and intention, okay, so far as the human mind is concerned, perhaps the Pandavas, except Yudhishthira of course, they might have been carried away with the, word of the war, or there might have been an emotional attachment to the war. That is the other side of the story. But from a broader view, this war was fought for the benefit of the whole world, for the whole humanity. And in this case, no form of ego. And now, when the God is with us, no form of ego would sustain. And perhaps that was one of the reasons why Sri Krishna didn't tell him all these gyanas, all this knowledge, this formidable knowledge, guhyat guhyatamam, the subtle knowledge. Perhaps due to this, Sri Krishna might not have told Arjuna this knowledge. Because you see, there must be a receptivity level for a certain thing. And like the knowledge, the doctrine, the gospel of Gita, to receive it, one must be sufficiently receptive. One must be sufficiently receptive. Suppose, whenever a teacher teaches in the classroom, he teaches according to the receptivity of the students, how much they can receive, to what extent they can understand the things. That is called the receptivity level. So, to tell somebody a knowledge like Gita's needs some receptivity level with the receiver. And this receptivity level can only be, raised, sublimated when we are void of our ego. So far, ego is there. Ego is something like that: I am great, I know everything, I need not know many things, nobody can convince me, nobody can explain me better, nobody is wiser than me. All these things come under ego. And Arjuna had that ego problem till the beginning of the war. And when, just before the war began, he felt a helplessness. The visada, the grief, the sadness, the dejection, this mental breakdown, whatever you call, in whatever language we may call it, this came when his ego just, came out of him. This ego just went out when he saw that these things, and when he was devoid of ego, Sri Krishna found that Arjuna's receptivity level has become more. So he thought now the receiver is at the appropriate state of mind, and because God is there, every place is a divine place, every place is a dharmakhetra. So the place is correct, and the person to whom this knowledge is being given, he has also raised his receptivity level by relinquishing ego. Of course, he has not relinquished it, but automatically the ego vacated the host, and thereby Sri Krishna went on telling or giving him the knowledge, explaining him the purpose of life, the purpose of this war. And I think the first question has been answered with all these points. We elaborated each and every point. Now comes the second question, that why there was such a dejection in Arjuna, in spite of the fact that he had known beforehand that he had to play an important role. Among the Pandavas, he was one of those fighters who has to take a major role in the war. He knew it, and he must have prepared for that also. But in spite of that, he felt a complete mental breakdown. And this is unbecoming of Arjuna. Why it was so? You see, this is an unusual situation. I have already told during the course of discussion that this Sri Krishna and Arjuna are not like this ordinary teacher or disciple. They are unique in their own ways. Here the teacher is the divine himself, the God incarnate, and the disciple is a man, is a human being, but he's a sublimated human being. He's a sublimated human being. It is not like you and I. He's the representative of entire humanity. So, when the dejection comes, the dejection is also a symbol of the dejection the entire humanity faces, the whole world undergoes. You and I experience that. So the same thing is reflected symbolically in Arjuna. I think we will prolong the discussion in the next episode. Till then, Namaskar.